What's going on there, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I really wanted to go ahead and put this video out there because things are happening in the gaming scene that I am not too pleased with, and I don't like the direction a lot of these games are taking. And sadly, the death of XDefiant leads us towards this direction. Now, of course, them announcing XDefiant's dying has really put a toll onto, just people who are playing the game itself. I can't get any lobbies, ladies and gentlemen. I've tried. I was one of the people who wanted to grind out XDefiant until the day that they finally shut down the servers because I enjoy the game, but sadly, for mouse and keyboard players, that is just simply impossible right now. It really is. I can't find anybody. And when I tried to, get a little crossplay with some homies who are playing on controller, then we both can't find games. And it's hilarious because when they back out and find a game on their own, they instantly get into a match. But when they party up with me, we're sitting there for an hour plus trying to get into a game. It's really bad, guys. It's a bummer. And yes, them announcing it so early has definitely ruined the holiday season for a lot of players when it comes to being able to play this game. But that's not the only thing that is happening, like I said. As we all know, XDefiant, one of the biggest points of this game is the fact that it did not have skill-based matchmaking. Now, of course, it did have some parameters that it follows, like, making sure the party size is included, and making sure you're in the correct region, and making sure it connects you to your input, so on and so forth. But when it came to skill level, no, it was a free-for-all. It really was. Every single game that you got into, you had no clue who you were going to go ahead and verse, You might see a few names that you recognize because it's connecting you to the same region and wants to get you the best ping. So, if it finds people who have the best connection to you, you might see them a decent amount. But other than that, it's not trying to intentionally find someone who is going to be equal skill levels down to the finest of details to make sure that you have the most competitive experience within the casual side of the game. It didn't do that. And that was a huge factor for this game. And I said many times before, and I think a lot of other people said this as well, that if XDefiant fails, if XDefiant dies, this will be basically the end of our run when it comes to no skill-based matchmaking. We've tried again and again and again to basically share our opinions about skill-based matchmaking and how it's affecting, gaming and making it impossible for a lot of people to be able to play with one another. We've been trying to spread this. But, of course, our words mean nothing. Let's be honest. We tried to boycott back in Black Ops, Cold War. Every single year, the biggest talking point is skill-based matchmaking. Is it not? Every single time a new COD game drops, what's trending on Twitter? Skill-based matchmaking. It's the hottest topic ever, yet and still, we never see a change. And it's so popular to the point that pretty much every single game uses it. It's just horrifying. It's horrifying, honestly. And we finally got a game that removed it. This was our project, Even for the people who didn't enjoy XDefiant, they still wanted to see this game succeed because it's taking that step. It's doing something for this community that we were never able to do before. The only thing we could do is put out a freaking petition that's useless. This is a game. It's a physical game that's backing up our concepts. And if it fails, I think we all sadly knew the results that would follow. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry this has to be my first introduction into Delta Force on this channel because I did want to cover this game. I actually made a few videos before, and the reason I'm not covering it so, deep right now is because I'm a little worried about, how YouTube is going to take it, as you guys know. Usually when it comes to gaming, you want to stick in your lane, and when you start, flopping around to too many different titles, YouTube doesn't like that. And Battlefield compared to COD, massively different games. Although I'm a huge Battlefield fan. I've been following it forever. I love it. I play it every single year. I used to talk about it, but I'm nervous about making content. I'm going to do it sometime in the future, but I had to make this point because it's so sad to know, because as we all know, Battlefield doesn't run off of skill-based matchmaking, right? It's team balancing. That's it. Because in a game with that many players, it just simply doesn't work. And you want to make sure everybody has the best connection because you're playing with so many individuals. You don't want to be having 32 players with horrible connection on big maps where, had to shoot across. No. That would destroy a game like Battlefield, right? It's just team balancing. Get the best connection, and then you balance out the teams, and you're basically good to go. And even before that, because that's only in 2042, before that, we have a server browser, right? The server browser is the bread and butter of what, Battlefield is because it allows you to find the best connection possible at all times. And again, you can't have skill-based matchmaking in a server browser. But Delta Force coming out here, I was hoping that it would, fill that void for a lot of players in the Battlefield scene who are looking for something to play, since obviously 2042 isn't the best Battlefield game out there, and also they're pretty much done updating it and supporting until the new Battlefield game drops. So, this game is phenomenal. It really is. It's fun, and it's great for a lot of Battlefield fans to be able to get a different fix. I think of Delta Force as like the XDefiant, to Call of Duty, Delta Force is to Battlefield. It's great for the community. They need competition, and this is what the players, need and want. And again, like I said, I play it. It's fun. But they are incorporating skill-based matchmaking into a game that just doesn't logically make sense whatsoever. I actually have the post right here where they're trying to cover it up a little bit on Reddit. You guys can read it for yourself because there's plenty of videos that have already discussed this. Basically, the moral of the story here is that in the very beginning, they are going to protect the noobs. They're going to, seriously, you're never going to see a brand new player in Delta Force whatsoever. But eventually, they're going to graduate to the rest of the pool. You know what I'm saying? Like how XDefiant is. You have the welcome playlist, and then once you reach a certain level, you are, out with the rest of the players. But it's not completely like XDefiant because they're still going to be tracking your actual skill level. Now, not as in-depth, right? It's not going to be as crazy as Call of Duty, where it's every fine, even down to your movement, right? Map knowledge, how slow your sensitivity probably is. No, none of that noise. But they're still tracking skill. They're still trying to make sure, not lobbies are 50-50 24/7, but, they want to have a certain balance that the matchmaking, brings forth, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Why are they doing this? Battlefield doesn't need, I know it's not Battle, I always say Battlefield, but you know what I'm talking about. The concept of Battlefield, like how, again, XDefiant is to Call of Duty, Delta Force is to Battlefield. The idea of what Battlefield is, it doesn't need skill-based matchmaking. It never did need skill-based matchmaking. I was actually watching a video from Enders the other day. I'll actually pop up the video that I was watching in specific where he was discussing the skill-based matchmaking here. And he made a phenomenal point. I'm sorry I have to steal this real quick, but I have to re-say it because it's just genius. And I never in a million years thought of, thinking of it this way. But in a game that's styled like Battlefield, skill-based matchmaking does nothing but hurt the overall experience because it's unlike Call of Duty, Battlefield has a roles to fill, right? And again, he was explaining how the Sweat's mindset is. It's true. I'm a Sweat as well. I can confirm that the majority of us are going to just, lean over to the assault classes, maybe a medic class, and just try to go for frags all the time. But in Delta Force, we're beginning to run into a problem where that's all people are running. You're not seeing many engineers, and the sniper players, recon players, not really playing, good recon. They're just playing it to get those extremely long, long shot kills, not really, wanting to play the true role of recon. And, skill-based matchmaking just completely destroys this because obviously in a typical Battlefield experience with no skill-based matchmaking, you have variety. You have players who enjoy going around repairing vehicles or, taking out vehicles, or players who are spotting for their team and getting a bunch of pings and a bunch of assists for that. You have players like this, but they're not entering, some of our brackets because, the matchmaking is putting us with, once again, players of our similar skill. And what do Sweats enjoy doing? We like sweating it out, so the whole lobbies are filled with assault players and medics and people just using the best of the best, the typical stuff. It doesn't belong in Delta Force whatsoever. But it's so weird because this wasn't a talking point when Delta Force was in its first initial, phase, the alpha. I remember playing the alpha. A lot of you guys played the alpha. We were discussing this game during that time frame. I did not witness this at all. It wasn't a talking point. Nobody even felt it, right? I would say over half the player base didn't feel the increasing layers of the matchmaking as they do now. And then out of the blue, when XDefiant is saying bye-bye, this is coming to life? I'm telling you guys, XDefiant was one of the only games that would ever have the nuts to remove skill-based matchmaking. I'm being dead ass with you. There's not a single game out there that doesn't have some type of matchmaking, system incorporated. And when I say this, I'm not saying it has to be to the levels of Call of Duty where it's very incorporated, but they have it to a certain degree. Literally, XDefiant was all about ping. That's it. Ping, how many people are in your party, and your input. That's literally it. No skill needed. If you can't hang, you can't hang, right? It is what it is. But at the same time, you will eventually find a casual game. You will. It's going to come along. It's going to trickle along. But it gives you that sense of progression throughout the game. But I really do believe around the time of COVID, where Modern Warfare 2019 was out and all this stuff, when skill-based matchmaking was heavily incorporated, things changed, and I think people got way too used to having their hands held and being walked through these games, these experiences, not needing to improve at all, but being able to stick in their own tiny little bracket, never experiencing what a potential better player would be, never seeing what that would be, and never wanting to, obtain that status or that level of gameplay because you never had to put up with it, You're just sitting there versing the same style of people again and again and again and again, and you already think you're probably the best. You probably think you're hot shit because, you're at nearing the top of that bracket, but you never have to go to that next level. And when you do go to that next level and you get wiped, they put you right back down into your own bracket. It's not like XDefiant where it's consistent, And sometimes you do get 10 matches of versing people who are a little bit above your bracket. Forget about XDefiant. Let's talk about OG COD. I remember back in the day getting people who are above my bracket in COD 4, World at War, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and guess what? Sometimes I even stayed in the game. I wanted to verse them. I wanted to, get whooped. You know what I'm saying? Because it gave me more knowledge because I wanted to get to that point to be able to stomp out just as easy, right? That is not a thing because once you do get stomped out, once the matchmaking sees you are, a little bit out of your range, it pushes you right back with your group. This system is now completely pushed into the minds of many, many players out there. And paired with the failure of XDefiant in the game shutting down, I guarantee that it's going to be cemented in history, and it's never going to be able to, we're not going to be able to phase away from it. I'm even worried about the next actual Battlefield game because realistically, they took away the server browser in 2042. If there's no server browser in the next Battlefield game, I guarantee they're going to be trying to incorporate some type of matchmaking algorithm. But ladies and gentlemen, that's all I really have for you guys. I just wanted to go ahead and discuss my opinions about, basically the topic of skill-based matchmaking being a permanent addition in pretty much every game you could think of nowadays, especially paired with, XDefiant. It's not looking good. It really is not looking good, and it seems like people are pushing for it more than ever before. But as always, if you enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hated, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern Time. And of course, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I will be live today over on Twitch, starting between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You guys find a link to that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.